Well. What do we got? More B-roll. Do you like this format, but do you want more B-roll?
We need to see more. I want to see gorgeous footage. Where's the Canucks we used to go?
Not enough B-roll.
Careful what you wish for, because we will deliver. What's up everyone, this is Dimitri with Hardware Canucks, and this is the new case from Riotoro, a company I've never heard of before, but hopefully with a team who have worked with the biggest brands, I expect nothing short of perfect. This is the Prism CR1280, certainly needs a new name, maybe, but let's see if it can impress us for $140. Now, first thing I want to get out of the way is Riotoro claiming this to be the first fully RGB case, and I'm sorry to put some brakes on that statement, but we've worked with some RGB cases in the past, like the PC08 by Lee that had actually 3-channel color control in the back, or the Phanteks N2 Lux with some awesome built-in case lighting, so not exactly sure where Riotoro is coming from. But the Prism here comes with built-in lighting at the front with the logo and the top I/O, which is surrounded by illumination, and also included RGB front fans that are all part of the color sync. The problem here with the lighting at this price point are inconsistencies of some LEDs, which you can see at the top, and one of the corners of the fans that doesn't display anything in the red channel. To make things worse, fan illumination is pretty weak to highlight anything on the interior, despite what they show on the website. Plus, these are such poor quality fans because of how loud they are. Let's take a listen. It is incredibly disappointing that the fans are extremely loud. Let me turn it on. But moving on, the Prism is a full tower with a heightened basement and a slightly shorter length, and here it is next to the H440, the 2015 edition for size comparison. And I love that we have actual aluminum case feet, which are part of the design language, and it's awesome, with very small rubber pieces to prevent hard metal contact. Underneath are 2 dust filters, easily removable from the front and back, which are the same filter by the way, making reinstallation simpler. My only negative point here is how the case feet flare out, which looks awesome, and it's not really an issue for assembly, but be careful not to scratch the surface when the case is down, since that portion of the aluminum isn't fully smooth and could easily damage any surface. And while I do appreciate the glossy front panel to create this stark difference in materials used, be warned of handling marks everywhere. But behind the panel are 2 120mm fans with holes for dual 140mm, and I appreciate this dense mesh that's built into the cover for dust protection. But weirdly, there is no intake for the bottom chamber, which is on purpose by the way, and you'll see why in a moment. The case follows with all the interior trends and drive cage relocation, as there's nothing on the way of that front intake, which would serve really well for 240 or 280mm radiators. And for a full tower, all the rubber grommets are in place for cable management. Big thumbs up here. It is an extremely easy case to work in, with the bottom chamber complementing cable pass-through. So why is the bottom chamber so tall, you may ask, since we have all this room above the power supply? Well, for one, the drive cage is rotated for vertical mount, and this is to accommodate for more drives than if they were mounted horizontally. I appreciate the concept, but not the execution. One, because the drive cage is non-removable, it is all riveted, I ask why, yet has all this room underneath for a potential fan, which you cannot install because you cannot get to it. Furthermore, the drive caddies are outdated. You see that SSD mount and how far back it is on the caddy. So this causes issues with cabling, not only because the drives are not in the same plane versus a 3.5-inch drive, but also because there's this plastic that's obstructing SATA cables. This is kind of ridiculous that it passed this enthusiast team that makes up Riotoro. You can't overlook this issue though with dedicated 4 SSD mounts on the side, which are fine by the way and toolless, but there is no way to show off your SSDs from the front due to the mounting nature of those brackets. And here's the back portion of the Prism again, with good cable management and this clever magnetic cover for the RGB and fan controller hub. I would have liked full black cables here for the lighting connectors, but at least they are routed very well on the back. The top of the case is the only thing left before assembly, and I gotta say that their concepts are great with the transparent piece that's easily removable with enough spacing for airflow to either exit or enter, plus a dust filter is present. But having this reflective piece means any dust or particles accumulation will be immediately apparent, plus it's crashed way too easily. And by the way, the same thing for the side panel. The plastic needs to be stronger, or better yet, replace that top piece with an aluminum piece, which would be expected at this price point. As for airflow, triple 120 fans or dual 140 are supported for pretty great water cooling. We have a lot of room to work with, and I'm happy to see internal space not restricted by, some miscellaneous pieces, and my test build is looking fine, although that thick mess coming from the top I/O is disappointing to see. Which by the way includes 4 USB ports, audio jacks, large power and reset buttons, and an RGB switch to cycle between colors, and 2 fan speeds. Coming back inside, you could spice up the airflow for the bottom chamber with 2 additional 120mm spots, or use them for all-in-one coolers. I had no issues with cable management aside from the bottom SSD, and I do think that space above the power supply is just missed potential. I mean, you could install a fan underneath, perhaps for intake for the main chamber, but it's really inaccessible, especially since the side portion of that bottom chamber is non-removable. So the Prism takes a few steps in the right direction, yet feels outdated, mainly because of the 2 elements. Those fans are absolute and the bottom chamber isn't fully developed, with space totally wasted above the power supply, especially since the side wall is non-removable. On the positive side, this is a unique looking case with a lot of potential if in the right hands, but sadly that's not what everyone wants to hear from a $140 product. And for concluding remarks, Riotoro, please refine your execution, as otherwise there are plenty of alternatives that do a lot more for less. And you can check out our top 5 cases video, linked in the description below. I'm Dmitry with Canucks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know what to do if you did, and we'll see you in the next one.